Admiral, thank you, and thank you for all the men and women in your theater. You know, since the Barbary Pirates and our first 5 frigates, the United States has dealt with our foreign policy and our national interests from a position of strength. I'm very concerned as we sit here today that we're in the middle of a paradigm shift relative to the other superpowers. In your mind, since 2000, China has spent, or is spending today, approximately 6 times more on their military, and these are constant dollars, 2016 dollars. Is that directionally correct in your mind? About 6 times compared to just 15 years ago?
Probably, sir, but I don't have the data.
Well,
but I've seen the the curve.
Yes, sir.
And the curve is dramatic in the amount of defense spending that they're doing based on just what they tell us, and they're probably spending higher.
Well, that's what I want to get to. The Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, their numbers, and I believe that China is spending more than even these numbers reveal. That's an 11% compound annual growth rate just since 2000. Here's the real problem. In 2017, they're going to spend about $240 billion but adjusted for purchasing power parity, in real terms, apples to apples to the United States, that's $826 billion compared to our $630 billion. Directionally, would you think that's reasonable to look at it that way?
I think it would be. We've looked at purchasing power parity in a general sense with regards to China, and they reached that purchasing power parity point already with regard in comparison with the United States.
I lived over there, and I've manufactured over there, I've sold over there, and when you adjust the currency and the ability that they have to buy their weapons and their systems cheaper than we are, and I look at the developments just this year of, you know, you educated me a year or so ago about their DF-26, the carrier killer, the first aircraft was coming online this year, the fact that 95% of their missiles violate the INF Treaty, and that they far outrange our capabilities today. Would you say today, sir, that China's on parity with the United States military capability in the Pacific region?
I would not, in terms of our asymmetric advantages and the quality of our equipment and our people. That said, quantity has a quality all its own, and they are swiftly moving to exceed the United States in terms of numbers of ships and submarines and aircraft and the like. So we have to continue to work and resource those asymmetric advantages that we have. And certainly China is trying to close that gap in every regime.
So within the next 5 years, if you continue that trajectory, there's every reason to believe on a purchasing power parity basis that they will actually double the amount of investment that we have in the military. That's just a projection. But what I'm concerned about is this. Independent of the money, I believe we have a supply chain war. You've talked about it today. It takes us much longer. It's much more expensive. We have many more regulations to go through. Tell us what we can do to help you as a combatant commander compete in the supply chain war that you have to deal with as well. You say that your quote here today is, I don't have what I need today against the current threats. And we know that their threats are only going to increase geometrically over the next 5 to 10 years. I believe they've got a 2025 strategy, and I'm very concerned. You've talked about that as well. Tell us what we can do to help you, sir.
Senator, I think that the best thing that the Congress can do to help me today is end sequestration and give us a budget.
When you look at the China strategy in the Southeast Asia region, particularly in the South China Sea, it's pretty easy. You've said they militarize it. I agree with that. What are their intentions for that outer ring of islands? It looks like the next level of national interest. I'm talking about the Marianas and Guam all the way to Palau in that area. Have you seen any indications now that they have sights on those as well?
Non-indications like what we're seeing in the South China Sea, where they're doing land reclamation activities and that kind of stuff, island building. But they are working to influence countries in that region, small island nations, economically, to bring them in line with their worldview.
2 last questions real quick. Are you concerned about the PLA's recent reorganization, and then also the Russia-China cooperation? It's at a higher level now than it's been in 30 years. Are you concerned about those 2 developments with regard to PLA?
I am concerned about the former, which is the the PLA's reorganization into joint theater commands. So we went through a period of joint integration, if you will, as a result of the Goldwater-Nichols Act in the late 80s, mid 80s, and since then I think we've become a much more effective joint fighting force across our military. And I think China is learning from that. They watch, they study, and they're going to this theater joint command structure. And I think that will make them better. It certainly made us better, and I worry about that. And then your second,
The Russia-China
question on
cooperation,
Russia
their
thing.
military cooperation today.
I think that's more temporary, more because they need each other right now more than anything else. And I would be concerned about, I would not be concerned about a long-term alliance with Russia and China if history is a guide. So,
Thank you, sir.